This is Sybert signing into Red Alert 3 on the map. Burnt Out Paradise for an FFA and apparently a crate FFA. That crate is going to be pretty difficult to grab. A bullfrog could assist in an infantry unit in grabbing it, or maybe a sickle could jump up there. But in the north, playing as the yellow Soviets, this is High Mind. Not the Hive Mind, but instead just the High Mind. As the orange Soviets, this is red. I'm going to try and make sense of that name. Meanwhile, on the left side, playing the green, playing allies, this is Egyptian Russia. We'll scroll down to the south for the Red Empire player. This is Ryder. As the purple Empire, this is Zorminator. And in the south, well, his name kind of looks like a little face. He is the Cyan allies. This is V_V. I don't know. I think his name might be a little bit of a face, and maybe that is pronounced some way. Maybe I'll just call him Face Guy. Gonna get that extra health on the MCV. No, the MCV passes right through the crate, doesn't actually grab it. There are a lot of garages on this map. I believe this map does have 6 garages out on the field. I think maybe only 4 dry docks, but 6 garages, 6 oil derricks out on the map. And that does mean, in this case, you can get 1 garage per player. Yeah, the distribution of garages is kind of weird. So in the north, you've got this one in the middle, and then that one and that one, which are quite close to each other. In an FFA, that kind of gives a bit of a disadvantage, but the other garage is in the middle of the map, so that's not much of an advantage either. But in an FFA, of course, things can go crazy. Things can be a little bit wild. Super Reactor going to be coming in here for Red, and the early expansions are maybe not turning out the best, as Red has no cash but 4 refineries out on the map. He's got a terror drone here. He is going to eventually get up that super reactor. He's going to be able to get up those hammer tanks as well, but he's just having a little bit of trouble with that Tengu early on because of the rapid 4 refineries from the orange player named Red. Meanwhile, the Red Empire player also going for a pretty quick 4 refineries, but maybe not quite as swift. He did get a Tier 2 Mecha Bay in the meantime. Did get the oil derrick as well. Will want to pick up the garage at some point, and he is going for that just now. Always nice to have those free repairs, especially when you are going for as many tsunami tanks as this guy is. Tesla coil being added on for our yellow Soviet player. Terror drones and, I don't know, a sickle maybe, going to be getting the kill on that Tengu, keeping that harvester safe for now. Dolphins from Egyptian Russia are going to be finding that refinery and shutting it down immediately. That really sucks for Ryder, who goes for the quick 4 refineries, ends up with only 3 of them, and it only costs 2 Dolphins to do it. Egyptian Russia probably going to want to keep that naval yard around, eventually go for aircraft carriers, maybe go for assault destroyers in the middle of the game. And, well, Egyptian Russia might pay the ultimate price if he loses this entire high ground. That may reset him a little bit more than he was expecting, but also he may not have anything to stop these tsunami tanks from killing off his MCV. We'll see. More tsunami tanks coming in. They get those free repairs as well, courtesy of that garage. Egyptian Russia strikes first, but that's not the end of the fight. Refinery gets sold off. Other refinery will have to follow suit very soon as well. The MCV is going to escape out to the water, which might be enough. We'll see if that MCV is able to truly escape the wrath of these tsunami tanks. Meanwhile, on the right side of the map, Zorminator going to be going for a much slower 4 refineries, but he will get there eventually. Not going to be grabbing any of those buildings in the middle of the map just yet. And yeah, the entire high ground has been cleared out. So it feels like a couple of these players are going to have the advantage of just sticking to themselves. VV in the south maybe sticking to himself a little bit too much. If he doesn't ever take any more than 3 refineries, also, he hasn't taken the garage or even the oil derrick that is very close to him. So VV, I'm a little bit worried about in the south. Seems like he might be playing SimCity more than he is playing Red Alert 3. Naval Yard is here. Dry Dock will be getting cleaned up. Dolphins are here, rather. Naval Yard has been around for a while from Egyptian Rusher. And Mass Dolphin might be the answer. I'm not sure that this observation post is really the ideal target at this moment in the game. Maybe killing this refinery, killing the Naval Yard, killing even the garage and the seaport would all be, the Dry Dock, rather, would all be better targets and opportunities for Ryder. Mass sail here as Egyptian Rusher completely leaves the land. He's got a couple of buildings occupied, but other than that, he has completely fled to the sea. He is going to be hoping to survive out on the water, living a nautical life of happiness. And VV has grabbed the observation post, but not the oil derrick, which is a curious choice indeed. Does feel like a mistake. I think we can pretty reasonably call it a mistake in this case. Egyptian Rusher is going to be losing his high ground. He will see the refineries, or at least he might see them if he is looking over there. He will see that they are being taken, and that'll be kind of annoying, but if he does ever get up to aircraft carriers, it'll be very easy to knock down the economy of Ryder Winds pretty darn easily. So Ryder needs to make sure that he can protect himself from such attacks. Akula Sub from High Mine going to be knocking down this refinery, or at least trying to. Dolphins taking to the north, going to be able to shut down that sentry gun, and one Dolphin goes down, and the hydrofoil also goes down. Second hydrofoil needs to step in to make this right, but it might not matter because the Tesla coil may just go down to the Dolphins before the hydrofoil can even get there, and indeed it does. The hydrofoil somewhat useless, but will be able to shut down that twin blade, deny any attacks from that twin blade, and stop anything from happening. Still no Elder captured by VV, who might be the first player out of this game. Lots of tsunami tanks coming in, but 3 multi-gunner turrets at the front will trade out against at least a couple of tsunamis, I have to assume. a couple of tsunamis will go down in this fight. Pretty good control by Ryder. His units almost getting caught on each other, but no, he completely evades the Tanya. Sentry Bomber is here as well. 1 Sentry Bomber, 1 Tanya. I think the story was about to be told by VV, and that story is no more. Tanya gets eliminated. The Sentry Bomber goes down. The airfield gets clipped, and that might be the end of this, but the MCV will get 1 crush here. Going for a second, looking for the kills. Mecha Bay does go down. War Factory, rather, does go down, and the MCV can now be avoided. That there aren't other targets distracting these tsunamis. Don't wait for the double back. Oh, the MCV gets 1 more crush with that sneaky change of directions. And I would kill that barracks just in case. But yeah, going for the refineries seems fine now that the MCV is gone. Purple goes for double super weapons. He's got the Nanoswarm Hive. He's got the Psionic Decimator as well. I'm not actually sure where his oil derrick is supposed to be, but maybe he ended up losing it. No, it's out there on the water. There we go. He's got his oil derrick, but he's keeping to himself 3 refineries up and running, the garage as well as a couple of buildings. It looks like VV is going to be pretty much out of this game. He is low on power. Not by much, but he is low on power nonetheless. No production facilities, it seems. No, he's got a seaport. He can make the comeback happen. The barracks does bring him back into the high regular power mode. Just barely there. Although if these power plants go down, it'll once again be lights out for the Cyan allied player in this FFA. Bullfrogs are here. They keep the twin blades safe for now. High Mind going for the high ground attacks against Red. Of course, the orange Soviet player named Red. And, well, twin blades do manage to escape, a couple of them at least. Ryder takes the expansion of the high ground of his old opponent's base, and it looks like he's going to be able to do that again here in a couple of moments. He will be able to take 2 fresh refineries, maybe even 3 fresh refineries if he takes the one out on the water as well. Although taking this one might be the safer option as he expands down to the south. He is actually sending 1 refinery, maybe a 2nd refinery. Ryder has been doing a pretty good job of spending all of his cash despite the large number of refineries that he has. His macro has been pretty well on point. He is almost at the top of the list in terms of total resources gathered. Highmind also spending all of his cash despite all of his large number of refineries. The corner expansions are a nice touch. Trying to rebuild here. He's even got the crusher crane in the very, very corner. A nice insurance model there. Nice insurance policy out there. And Vivi has gotten a fresh MCV. That naval yard doing its work, and the MCV has been spotted, so it will try and go for the land. It may be able to get the crush. 6 grand in the bank means that Vivi can indeed buy himself back into this game. 7 grand in the bank even. Maybe a couple $100 extra bucks if he sells off that multi-gunner turret. MCV down below half health. Multi-gunner turret is still not enough to stay online. Naval yard doesn't get sold off, but the MCV does go down now. And, well, he still has enough money to come back in this game. He's got 7.5K in the bank, and that is more than enough to get the MCV out and get 1 single refinery. Have a couple of extra dollars left over as well. Oh, especially if you sold off the naval yard after you built the MCV. You could get 1 refinery and half of an extra refinery. Anyways, naval yard going down. It looks like VV will be our first player defeated. Open up the southern edge of the map, and you have to hand it to Ryder. The guy has cleared out almost half of the map for himself. If he takes this southern set of expansions, and he should really take this one as well, if he takes this also, he's going to have an insane number of refineries. He's going to have so much cash in the bank that he is going to be able to call on, and he's going to be able to build just so many units in him. I mean, bank account doesn't decide the winner at the end of the day, but boy, is it a sure good indicator. EMP locks down 3 of those King Onis, a couple of Tengus as well, but the Tengu's in the sky. What is this dog doing? Oh, that is a real dog. I thought that was a spy disguised as a dog, and he was going to go for some bribery attempts, but no, that is just a dog just hanging out with this army. Tengu's coming in, do get it frozen a little bit by these cryocopters, assault destroyers, hydrofoils, dolphins, all joining forces to help shut down those Tengus, make sure that they are not a nuisance, as all of those Tengus just getting eliminated. And Ryder finding it a little bit difficult to crack this allied naval force. He's like, I can knock down the refineries. Should probably also, I guess the dry dock has already gone down, which is the real thing you want to take down in a naval fight. Psionic Decimator fires off here, locks in a couple of those units, and it looks like another another Nanoswarm Hive is ready to go. Psionic Decimator's not quite ready just yet. Tengu's happy to trade out. This is one of those FFAs that does very much feel like it could go several different directions. Egyptian Rusher trapped out on the water, but has found himself a pretty strong position to just hold out and let the other players fight each other. Meanwhile, Ryder is like the clear big winner in terms of map presence. He's got the biggest section of the map potentially under his control. But Highmind has a huge section of the map under his control and has been putting a lot of damage out onto the map. And then there's Zorminator, who honestly I've forgotten about for most of this game. He is ready to go with some super weapons, but other than that, he has not done much in this match. Putting the pain on some of these other players is a nice touch, but it's not going to win the game by itself. Though this is quite a healthy army from Zorminator. He's just keeping it in his own base. All right, Ryder is going to put the first bit of pressure on Zorminator. The revenge for that attack earlier. King Onis versus King Onis. Not a fight you see very often. One King Oni is rare enough, but a whole army of King Onis is even more rare. Wave Force Artillery on the low ground is going to be making this a win for Ryder, but that is going to be a Nanoswarm Hive to keep those Wave Force Artillery from actually taking part in this battle. Zorminator is going to try and win by the strength of his Wave Force Towers, by the strength of his King Onis, and this War Factory has absorbed so much damage. Those King Onis are getting taken down almost entirely because they were attacking the buildings and not dealing with the King Onis of his opponent. Zorminator getting blasted to bits, and he's going to have to run for the hills. There's still a good number of Tengus here, but the King Onis and the Tsunami Tanks should be able to deal with them. And unless, of course, they're still attacking other units and other buildings, as these Tengus are going to be getting frozen. One of the allied players, Egyptian Rusher perhaps, coming in here with a random cryo shot, seeing the units attacking that Psionic Decimator. He will fire off his cryo shot. Psionic Decimator goes down. MCV will be the next target. The Wave Force Artillery should be able to knock that down. And the last Tengus get eliminated. Zorminator has been swept out of this game almost entirely. Toxins getting dropped. Refinery goes down. But Red is still in this game, and so is the orange Soviet player. Red, of course. But rebuilding the Crusher Crane, getting himself back into this fight, losing a couple of refineries. All right, High Mind has definitely been putting a lot of damage and a lot of pressure on the Soviet player Red. And now this one Tsunami Tank actually coming in here for Zorminator may actually be able to get a couple of kills here. Going to be able to clean up that Wave Force Artillery. Now he just needs to close the distance. Ooh. Almost gets one shot by that Wave Force Artillery. He really does need to close the distance and clean up this one Wave Force, but he has to wait until that Wave Force is distracted. All right, Wave Force is going to maybe waste its shot on the Imperial Warrior. He's firing actually a little bit early, and he's trying to get the kill on that Tsunami Tank so it won't be able to close the distance, and the Harvester is going to help out there with the kill, and now the Harvester is actually going to clean up a couple of Tank Busters as well. But no, Ryder! What? Ryder has been defeated, just leaving the game. Big surprise there. Was not expecting Ryder to be the next player out of this game. Zorminator survives. Zorminator gets almost completely destroyed, but Zorminator survives. And, wait a second. Zorminator has no production facilities? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Zormy Boy can only build harvesters. He can sell off a couple of these power plants. He does have a little bit of extra power, but he can't sell off a lot of them unless he starts selling off some of these refineries. But he does have a couple of Imperial Warriors stashed around the map. And he does have a little bit of extra, a few extra units he could pull out of those places. But other than that, Zorminator is out of this game. He's got 30 grand in the bank, so I don't know that he needs all of those refineries. But Satellite's going to be getting called in. High Mind loses the V4s, but will get some extra damage with that one click. Meanwhile, on the left side of the map, Akula Sub's going to be doing battle with this entire allied navy. Toxins getting dropped as well, trying to deal with this big glob of forces. Toxins do catch 2 of the Dolphins, but not much more than that. Spectrum Tower eliminates a couple of these Akula Subs, and that black hole armor is causing some real problems for the Soviet Navy. Cryocopters as well, going for the freeze, getting those kills. And as with any FFA, the destruction of one army does not always mean a win or a loss. I mean, in Ryder's case, I guess it did end up meaning a loss as he was able to do a lot of damage to his opponents, but ultimately fell to pieces there, perhaps desyncing, perhaps having to leave the game for other reasons. But yeah, the Navy fight does not go the way of High Mind, and he's still in a pretty good spot other than that. It's just the naval forces of Egyptian Russia that are causing him some problem. And it could be that this mass of Twin Blades is going to be coming through for the win. Despite everything else, Twin Blades may just be the thing that wins. Not these hammer tanks, though, if they're going to sit there and get frozen like that. 4 hammer tanks knocked down extremely quickly. The splash damage going to be keeping 2 of those hammer tanks down in one shot. Twin Blades circling around. Red taking a lot of damage from High Mind. These V4s, the rockets, the Twin Blades, everything that High Mind has been throwing at Red has caused him a lot of difficulty. These corner bases becoming more and more valuable as all of the ore in the main bases is going to be drying up very soon. So those expansions become that much more important. These V4s just cannot get enough damage to knock down this ore refinery. Oh, no, he might actually get the last rocket before that Terror Drone gets the kill. Barely not enough. The repair tool saving that refinery from that shot, but 2 more V4s rolling up, and they will be able to get the final kill. Well, forcing the sell-off is just as good. Bullfrogs, hammer tanks, cryocopters, everything is getting destroyed. The cryocopters finding big damage there on the land against the Soviet forces. High Mind is going to be striking out against those aircraft carriers, but he won't find a kill. The EMP will lock down 2 of the Akula subs, but not the 3rd one that is underwater. Also locks down this Conyard. If only the Ultra Torpedoes had been saved, the satellites I don't think will get the splash damage necessary. And it's still 3 minutes until the vacuum imploder, so no real hope of that. Toxins will come in, and, well, actually this MCV is going to try to drive towards that satellite, which did end up kind of benefiting High Mind a little bit there. Not a super ton, though. More satellites coming crashing down. The Crusher Crane has been eliminated. High Mind fighting on 2 fronts. It might be a little bit too much for him. He still has a pretty massive air armada, but not necessarily much of a navy or much of a ground army, although APOC tanks can do a lot of heavy lifting in the right scenario. They could eat up a lot of bullfrogs for sure. Bullfrog's going to be able to chase away the Twin Blades, but the MiGs are the real power that the Twin Blades cannot contest. One Akula sub trying to sneak his way through this fight, through this army. Will find a little bit of damage on the Conyard, but not enough to make a significant difference. And it does look like Egyptian Rusher is keeping up the attacks. I was kind of hoping that this Empire player would be able to make the ultimate comeback with just an infinite number of harvesters. He's got 51k in the bank, but Zorminator is not fulfilling the meme. He is not following through in the way that we want. He's got just like a couple of random units spread throughout the map, and maybe a tsunami tank, a couple of Imperial Warriors, and 51 grand in the bank that he could be using to build massive numbers of harvesters. I guess if he had an engineer, then he could potentially get back in this game, but with no barracks, no engineer, it's no real hope of getting back in. Oil Derrick will be taken down. Akula subs once again going to try and fight their way through this maze of the Allied Navy and getting extremely close to killing off that MCV, and they finally do get it. I'm not sure who actually got the killing blow on that MCV, but that is a Tier 3 MCV eliminated for Egyptian Rusher. His tech largely reset. He might have some of his other production facilities on harvesters, on a prospector rather than his MCV, but no. That harvester isn't actually working. It will be put back to work, I think, after this attack comes through, because he will realize sort of what the situation is with his harvester. Apollo's going to be finding some damage. Airfield not fast enough on the rocket reloads to kill off that airfield before the Apollos shred these Twin Blades. It was close, but no cigar, and now the second naval yard is going to be the saving grace of Egyptian Rusher. It will keep him in this game. One tsunami tank just crushing his way through all of these forces, dodging the rockets with this speed boost. He actually does dodge the rockets of those Twin Blades, and this one tsunami tank from Zorminator will go down, it seems. Too bad. That super repair, the garage plus the heroic status, is a truly incredible amount of repairs. But even so, it is not enough. Egyptian Rusher does get his harvester back online. He's got $3.5 grand in the bank, so he's doing a pretty good job of spending all of his money, but he really hasn't had that big of an income for most of this game. He's climbing up over 100K, or very soon he'll be over 100K, which does actually put him in last place of the remaining people in this game. But he does have at least a decent amount of income that he has been able to acquire over the course of this game. APOC tanks. Oh no, that is a Peacekeeper. That's not a spy disguised as a Peacekeeper. All 4 APOC tanks get EMP'd by that aircraft carrier, and that may be the end of these APOC tanks if he can keep up the EMP. Oh, actually, no. He's only got 1 aircraft carrier, and it's actually attacking the Crusher Crane in the corner. Not concerned with these APOC tanks in the current moment. Crusher Crane has survived for now. Egyptian Rusher really could be completely decapitated, but has sort of managed to hold on, and no one has actually decapitated him yet. He may have actually lost that naval yard, maybe due to something killing off the naval yard, and it looks like he did not manage to sneak out an MCV. He might have an engineer somewhere on the map. If he does, he could switch into... Ooh, Riptide's getting cleaned up there. He could switch into a Soviet tech tree, but no, he is going to kill off the Crusher Crane, so never mind. Akula Sub getting caught by that hydrofoil, denied the kill on that assault destroyer. And the hydrofoil not able to save those Riptides, or that one Riptide, from going down. Egyptian Rusher, if he lost his MCV, then he has to do it with the army that you see out on the map and whatever he can build from this airfield, which very soon should be cryocopters. Okay, yeah, I think he is already up to tier 2. Yes, he is. So he's already got the opportunity to build cryocopters. This one Imperial Warrior just running through the base of Red. Red able to make a little bit of progress, a little bit of headway against Orange, or against Yellow, as the 2 Soviet players forever locked in a back and forth battle. But of course, High Mind decided to fight on 2 fronts and now is paying the price for that by walking his MCV into his opponent's base almost, or into his opponent's army. Not base at all. There's no buildings here. It is just an army ready and waiting. Fortunately, no EMP lands on that MCV. Akula Sub's going to be getting called in. Satellites or magnetic singularity or something going to be getting called in on top of this army. Maybe just toxin drop. Yeah, the toxin drop comes in, and this MCV looks like it'll be caught and killed. Zorminator still not committing to the bit, not going for the mass harvesters, which is what we want to see. We want to see him spend his 66K on harvesters and just go for the hilarious play, even though he's going to lose this game. And it looks like it's coming down to maybe Egyptian Rusher or Red. Of course, High Mind is still in this one, but less and less seeming by the minute. He is in this one less and less every minute that goes by. Less and less influence, less and less significance. As long as he has the naval yard over here and a refinery, he can stay in this game forever. But he's gathered over 200K and has very little to show for it. Red and Egyptian Rusher are basically 90K behind that total, but they actually have standing armies out on the field. Units and infrastructure that matter at this point. Egyptian Rusher keeping himself in this game, sort of on the edge of the cliff for most of it. But, you know, sometimes losing your MCV, maybe it's a blessing in disguise, because then truly the only thing you can build without limitation is cryocopters. And cryocopters are a pretty good unit. I don't know if you guys have heard about the wonders of the cryocopter, but it's a pretty good unit. You need a lot of MiGs to kill off that many cryocopters. You could try with the bullfrogs, but sometimes the cryocopters just fly over the terrain and then the bullfrogs can't keep up. They can't go from high ground to water that quickly. And yeah, massive, massive cryocopter army. Of course, if anyone realized this, I think they would just knock down that airfield from Egyptian Rusher and make sure that he can't rebuild anything, and then just focus on whittling down the army bit by bit. Because suddenly, if you knock down that airfield, there's no more cryocopters, which means every cryocopter you kill is not going to be replaced. Okay, Zorminator has done it. He spent 16K on his Harvester army. We are getting ready for it. Now I'm glad. Zorminator, he's stuck in this game. I don't know how long it was he was in this game, doing basically nothing, just gathering his 66K. And now he's finally ready to put his 4 refineries to good use. He's almost just kind of stealing money from the map, because really these other players should be taking these refineries, taking these expansions, and putting them to good use, you know, building real units and stuff with them. And instead, Zorminator is just absorbing them and turning them into the worst, but the funniest army that you can have. So it's not going to be a good use of money, but you can build a lot of harvesters. I don't know how much 1,400 divides into... I guess he's only got 40K now. But basically, 1,400 divides into 66K. But that's the number of harvesters that he could have built at his peak of income. And now he's still got those 4 harvesters just working away. I guess he's closing in on 30 harvesters. Well, he has a couple of Imperial Warriors, I think, spread throughout the map. But Zorminator keeping himself in this game. Red going to be taking the expansions in the north. They are depleted. It will take a pretty long while for those expansions to pay for themselves, but they will pay for themselves. And oh, I completely missed it. The expansion down here, the expansion over there. Did he get out an MCV and I just completely missed it? Egyptian Rusher must have gotten an MCV at some point, right? Does he just have way too many refineries? I must have missed something, because Egyptian Rusher, I feel like, has to have an MCV somewhere to have spent all of his cash. But maybe not. Satellite's getting called down. MCV on the right side for High Mind. I feel like I missed the MCV for Egyptian Rusher, but maybe he truly doesn't. Maybe I just completely missed those green dots on the map. If he does have an MCV, he, for some reason, hasn't rebuilt any production facilities. And that would be a very strange thing indeed, to not rebuild any production facilities. These Riptide's going to be rolling past this purple base, and they're like, I wonder if we should do anything about that Empire base at some point. But the answer for now is no. Super Reactor gets sold off. Riptides don't go for the kill there, and no, the Super Reactor didn't get sold off. Just the barracks got sold off. So the Super Reactors could still be busted down, broken apart. But at some point, Red and Egyptian Rusher are going to come into conflict with each other. And let's just hope that it is not Egyptian Rusher and Zorminator, because Zorminator will have no chance against those cryocopters. Harvesters don't shoot up. Yeah, what is Egyptian Rusher spending his cash on? I mean, he might be going sentry bombers, but... Bonk. And that aircraft carrier, if it wasn't already heroic, it is now. Getting that extra veterancy status. I guess Twin Blades will also tear apart this army. But at least Zorminator is building the goofball army. EMP coming in. Doesn't get the MCV, does get the Harvester. Magnetic Singularity drawing in a couple of these units, delaying the attack by a couple of moments, but not in a way that really matters. And, well, flak cannons didn't really have much of a hope against this many cryocopters anyways. Even if the cryocopters were all, even if the flak cannons were not EMP'd, those cryocopters could out-freeze the flak cannons. It isn't much of a fight. High Mind, once with a huge section of the map under his control, is finding himself with less and less of the map under his control. Well, bye-bye to that building. Goodbye to those flak troopers. Bullfrog's going to be getting a couple of free shots here. Even going to be killing off a fully heroic Apollo. That's nice for that Bullfrog. Gets himself the double vet status. And this might be the end. Highmind will leave the game, zeroes everything out, and the Mass Harvester move in has finally happened. Highmind distracting Red, and now Red is actually low power mode as well. Cleans up one of the Tesla coils there just to help him out, but Egyptian Rusher is going to be finding himself at an advantage of being helped by the Purple Empire player. This super reactor goes down as well. Oh, these twin blades, if they could run out of ammo, they would indeed run out of ammo, but the Mass Harvester army is here to stay, and this is just goofball mode as cryocopters show up to freeze. An Egyptian Rusher, he shows up to attack, and then he's like, I don't need to be a part of this fight. I'm gonna back off. I'm gonna let these harvesters do their work, and I'm gonna sit back and just hang out for a moment. And honestly, if these harvesters had turned their guns on this expansion, they probably could have brought Egyptian Rusher down. They would have had to attack from the south to knock down these power plants before eventually getting to the Spectrum Tower. But they could have done some serious damage. Now they're just going to get torn apart by these twin blades. Every single twin blade will probably go heroic from killing off these harvesters, but that is multiple heroic harvesters. I see at least 2 heroic harvesters. I think there were some more. And then a double vent harvester, a couple of single vent harvesters as well. This is just absolute silliness here on Burnt Out Paradise. These guys, at least they're entertaining. Every single harvester goes down. The V4 is almost blasting its own refinery to pieces. And Zorminator has $4 left in the bank, so he spent his entire bank on harvesters. As it turns out, maybe that was the best play, is to get 66K in the bank and then go for the mass harvester play. Because, you know, once those ore mines dry up, well, how long does it take to build a harvester? 20 seconds. So you definitely build a harvester a lot faster, almost 3 times as fast. Well, you get 500 credits normally in 20 seconds, but so you basically have a 3 times spending rate as your income rate. But we won't worry about that too much. Zorminator has, I think, fallen by the wayside, but done so in quite an entertaining fashion. When you know you're beat, but you still want to hang out with the other people in the game, this is one way to do it. And Egyptian Rusher could have been potentially knocked out of this game, leaving a pretty clear path for Red to make it into the last stages of this game. EMP lands on the super reactor, which is probably why Red is in low power mode. And yeah, okay, so he does come back into, you know, he has enough power. Once that super reactor comes online, it is actually, you know, enough to keep him in the game in terms of power. Not anymore, because now it's truly, truly gone. And Egyptian Rusher could have been knocked out, potentially, by Zorminator. But it was not meant to be. Yeah, Zorminator could have killed off this refinery, that refinery, and then turned north and just cut through Egyptian Rusher's forces, and that will do it. Red has been defeated, which means technically, going by the rules of like FFA competitions, every once in a while there will be an FFA tournament, Zorminator would take second place. I mean, assuming he doesn't kill Egyptian Rusher, which would be pretty embarrassing for Egyptian Rusher if he lost at this point. It would be a true head-scratcher. How is that possible? The guy didn't have units that could shoot up. You had cryocopters. How could he possibly have won? But in this case, Zorminator has spent all of his cash. Not exactly macroing well, but macroing well enough to spend all of his cash. I guess as long... Oh, he doesn't have an MCV, so he doesn't have any of the support powers. But, you know, you can build a Vindicator easy. You just can't build too much more than that. I'm not sure what we're waiting for. There we go. GG comes in. Zorminator has been defeated. Egyptian Rusher takes the game. But wow, that is an FFA. Like, I guess all FFAs could have gone very many different directions at very many different points in that game. Egyptian Rusher is the one who takes it, but Zorminator showed us the most fun for sure. And that will do it for this game, for this video. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And this is Sybert signing out.